Friends, enemies, and internet losers, I have returned. I'm Baroness Cameron, and you're listening to Radio BSC on Podbean.com. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 18 tells us that he who increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. In other words, if you want to stay happy, stay dumb. I can't say I subscribe to this concept, probably best expressed as ignorance is bliss. There are things that I know that sometimes I wish I didn't. My life, however, is not one long melancholic string of suckiness because of it. Likewise, there are things that some people think we don't need to know. For instance, if your ex had been cheating on you from the get-go, you may feel that the value of knowing is not worth the pain of knowing. That is, until your pee starts to burn and you can't figure out why. Forewarned is forearmed, and neither my guests nor I will single-handedly dole out the meaning of life on this show, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't listen in anyway. What I plan to bring you is 1 hour every Sunday that is filled with good people and good music, and maybe we can all learn something along the way. I'm Baroness Cameron, and I don't know anything that you can't learn without a library card and a curious nature. Let's start the show. Hello and welcome to this, our premiere episode of Radio BSC. Thank you for tuning in, even if there's nobody out there. But one person I kind of hope is out there is the little bastard who stole my iPod. And I'd like to dedicate this next song to him, or her, but I'm pretty certain it was a him. Basically, this song comes with two warnings. The first warning is, if I find you, I will break your legs. The second warning is, if you're not somewhere where you can immediately get up and dance like an idiot, find a place where you can get up and dance like an idiot, because my favorite little Mockney melody maker, this is a song by Lily Allen. This goes out to the guy who stole my iPod. This is a song called Fuck You. That was Fuck You by Lily Allen. I'm just going to make one last comment about the iPod thing. I apologize for saying that I would break your legs because I forgot to mention that I'll be doing it while hiding your body. Anyhow, my guest today... No, I'm sorry. It pissed me off. 16,000 songs on an iPod, gone. And the thing is, to use it, he'll have to blank the iPod.
Yeah, he
which
will.
means he'll never get to listen to 16,000 plus awesome. Well, maybe there's a couple songs on there that weren't quite so awesome.
That's neither here nor there.
Back in the day where Hot or Cold was my ringtone.
No.
Still have it there?
Shocking.
Yes. So I have three favorite reds in my world. The first is the color of the Japanese maple at the top of my driveway. The second is the red of a summer sunset when a thunderstorm is on its way. And the third, but by no means the last, is sitting right beside me.
Hi, Baron.
Hi. My guest today took classical voice at Capilano College, now Capilano University. Congratulations to them. After leaving Cap, she started doing freestyle hip-hop and folk together.
At last.
I was thinking that was quite the mix. She was in a band called Rev Zero, did some session work, and worked with larger corporate bands. We'll talk about that after.
Right.
And then started an original band. I like the distinction that you put in the information. You were in a corporate band and then an original band called Marine Drive. After Marine Drive, she started sitting in with jazz combos and met up with Blue Morris. And soon after that, she found herself standing in front of the Gentile Sextet, the musical wing of the Pink Flamingo Burlesque. Around the same time, an old friend of mine, Hamish Thompson, was sent in search of her talents. They collaborated on some studio work and stayed in touch. A few months later, Thompson contacted her again to put some backing vocals into his band's live show. She gave Thompson a firm, quote, hell yes. And she started singing backup for The Hermit. After The Hermit's front gal, Alison Chevernoa, had to sadly leave Vancouver and return to Winnipeg, where she still performs with her band Paper Moon. My guest was offered the front spot, which she gladly took. And after an errant microphone to the face at the media club, the moment incidentally...
You so remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucked.
I said here, it's the moment incidentally when I fell in love and when I'm sure she wishes I'd quit bringing up.
I thought I covered it up really well, but...
You didn't even cover it. It happened, and you moved on.
Yeah.
When not performing with the Hermit or the Gentile Sextet or messing about with solo work, she can be found helping her filmmaker fiancé with soundtracks, audio mixing, and assistant producer duties. Mm-hmm. I am very glad to have her here today, Rachel Watson, known to lovers and enemies alike as Red.
Hi, Baron.
Hello, Red.
Congratulations on the show.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yes.
Don't hate us. Okay.
No hating.
Please.
No
hate. I don't drink Haterade.
Haterade.
That was kind of lame. Okay.
You just wait till I get onto my laughing in church moment. And
Yeah.
I was taping yesterday, and we had about 13 seconds left, and I started ranting about Twitter. So,
Oh, goodness.
yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Woo! So, I have 3 songs by you here. Nature, Mink Schmink, which cracks me up.
Well, do you know the history of that song, Mink Schmink?
No, but I love the fact that you actually pronounce Jaguar properly.
Yeah, Jaguar. It's an old Eartha Kitt song.
Okay.
And she definitely did it best. I would certainly not assume that I would be revolutionizing anything done by Eartha Kitt ever in the history of all time. But she has this fabulous growliness and this fabulous cadence. And she takes, the lilt of every word and just milks it. So as soon as Blue heard that song, and as soon as we all heard that song, we're like, this has to be it. And it's become a bit of a calling card for the Pink Flamingo Orchestra.
Well, no, I've seen you guys. Well, I've seen you guys play a couple of times. One, I just came and saw the Pink Flamingo Burlesque, and the other time was when you guys were finishing off for it was the 3rd Burlesque Festival. That was the night I bought pasties. And I was saying I was considering wearing them because I still have them, but I've left them in their original wrapping just in case they get famous someday.
If I can
Some people
recommend,
yes.
you might want to get yourself a roll of carpet tape. Because that's what the ladies use. The real hardcore burlesque dancers use a carpet tape.
I could probably get away with Velcro.
It's pretty intense stuff, but you sweat it off. It's unbelievable. I don't even understand how these poor ladies, they're incredible. These women that, they've got all these incredible costumes and they make everything by hand, and they have such vision and such humor and such totally interesting ideas of how to make sex funny and make sexuality funny, and about teasing and not necessarily just doing every other pussycat doll mock burlesque thing out there. People like Shabubi Boobarella, who does a Lady Godiva bit, and she does, she jerks off an inflatable flamingo on stage. It's hilarious.
Well, the one that cracked me up that night was Lime and the Coconut, and I can't remember her name right now.
Malika Millions.
Yes, thank you.
Apple juice box in the coconut pelvic piece of her bikini, which curiously springs a leak all over the stage. I think that's just about the funniest thing I've ever seen. What's not funny about peeing on a stage in front of people?
Well, the thing is it's so funny that it makes you pee.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking. And people are like, is she leaking right now?
And then, but no, I mean, the show is hilarious because, I mean, it's the right combination of exactly is the music, the dance, and then just the awful jokes.
The horrible jokes.
But they're meant to be that way. I mean,
exactly. And the other part of it is that it just sex is funny.
Yeah,
it's
it
funny
is.
and inspiring and interesting, and sometimes it's meat and potatoes, and sometimes it's very emotional and intense, whatever. But it's the thing that the Pussycat Dolls and bands like that lack, and the sort of nouveau burlesque movement lacks. They lack the ability to laugh at themselves. Yeah. And that's where burlesque came from. It's an extension of cabaret. It's embracing what's funny and human about life.
Well, I think that's the thing, though, is when people make the mistake of videotaping themselves having sex and they go back and watch it, usually they find it sort of rather awkward and laughing. They don't realize that pornography isn't sex. Pornography is a film made to look like sex.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's I think it was, somebody's talking about God's greatest joke was basically humans having sex. And just,
yeah.
But I think that's also the cause of a lot of problems. I mean, like this guy from Virginia that wants to have Viagra ads deemed obscene and taken off of prime time. I mean, what scares people about sex so much?
The fact that they could have fun doing it?
Yeah, well, Footloose.
That's just it. Is that, I think...
Probably one of the more thinly veiled double entendres in movie history.
Pretty much. I just think that, people... I think we're so trained to feel like anything that is good must ultimately be evil. Yeah. Anything that is fun must ultimately be wasteful. Anything that makes us feel happy is extra. And it is completely, it's utter Bolshevik. It's this latent puritanical idea that, you have to do the thing that is the hardest all the time, Sisyphus, you know what I'm talking about. It's not worthy if it doesn't make you absolutely fucking miserable. And it's like, I'm sorry, life is really short. And this is a big one. I might get myself in trouble with this comment, but if there is a God out there who has his big master plan for us, and what he designed me for was for me to push a stone uphill and fail at it over and over and over again, I don't want that. Well, I'd rather waste my life being happy than fulfill the master plan.
If you look across the room, you'll see a book that says ARG and then there's a little paperback on top of it. Yeah. That paperback is The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, which you should probably pick up and read if you haven't already.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I'll do so.
Basically, it's about the philosophical, is suicide ever justified? And he comes across saying no. But there's an actual essay, and there's about 4 pages as it's written there, called The Myth of Sisyphus. Mm-hmm. About how what his torture is the hope that one day he'll be free. Mm-hmm. And as soon as Sisyphus realizes that this is his existence, this is how life is going to be, the gods can't judge him anymore. They can't torture him anymore because he's over. It's his hope for something better and new. I mean, it sounds kind of bleak, but it's actually very freeing when you sort of really get into it. Mm-hmm. But let's get to some music here. This is Red singing. Is this a band project, or is this sort of a home studio thing?
It's a solo project that I put together with the aid of Mark Henning of Combine the Victorious, Blisterine, and Pure Fame. And I came in I was recording a full length with him, and it kind of went on hold because I got very swept up with The Hermit. So I put the brakes on. But basically what it is, it's a solo song, and I went in and it was kind of in a 70%, 65% done stage. And as he and I are wont to do, we went in there and it turned into an absolute explosion of awesome. And within about an hour and a half, all the lyrics were finished. We had recorded it. Bang, bang, bang. Done.
Sounds good. Okay, so this is going to be Nature by Red. And then Red singing Mink Schmink, the Eartha Kitt song, as performed by the Gentile Sextet. And then we're going to finish up with a song by The Hermit called Home. And nothing against Allison. I just thought I'd find a song that didn't have her just blaring right out in the front singing as we're actually talking. Well, is this Dwayne singing on Home?
No, it's Hamish.
That's what I was wondering, because
Hamish.
I thought it was Hamish singing, and I wasn't.
He's a wonderful singer.
Yes, he is.
He's a wonderful singer. I love his voice.
He's just an absolutely wonderful guy, and we're going to be getting to Hamish
Good.
On the other side of the set, I think.
Good.
This is Nature.
Folks like us can just see on. A lasting lesson takes about a flash to learn how someone's depression can be used like a weapon to us. Don't look away.
That was The Hermit with Home. Before that, we had the Gentile Sextet with Mink Schmink and Red singing Nature. So tell me all about Hamish Thompson, who was singing on that last track.
Excuse me. Hamish is one of the kicking assest people ever conceived. I'm just going to say that. Hamish Thompson is the original Hermit. He is the founder of The Hermit. The Hermit was born of him relegating himself and his talents to his studio and closing the door and refusing to come out until something glorious happened, which it always inevitably did. He is driven and creative. He is a fabulous father. I wish to God that my dad had been like Hamish. I'm so envious of his kids.
Well, doesn't Hamish have, because Hamish has I think he's got about 10,000 side projects, but isn't one of them like a baby music thing? That might be sort of,
Yep,
I don't want
music.
to make that too simplified, but
it's birthing music. It's gorgeous stuff. It's absolutely beautiful, but he's a true musician in that he finds a way to make something beautiful out of everything, and he doesn't have any boundaries about it. It's that's the thing about everybody in The Hermit. That's why I'm so blessed to be in the band that I'm in. Is why I'm so committed to being in the band that I'm in. Is that every single thing we do is a song that is born of love of music and love for each other and trust in each other and our talents. Do you know what I mean? So like but that all comes from him. Is that the original starting point of that is that, you know, in a lot of other bands, and you'll probably really know this, and I don't know if the folks watching will know this terribly well, but when you get into a creative situation and people say, well, I don't know, well, maybe not, well, we can't do it like that, well, we shouldn't do this, the whole thing dies. It's like a baby that no one's ever touched. It just croaks. But it's this tiny nubile little life. Every song is a life. And it has to be nurtured. It has unique needs. It has unique wants. It's meant to be a certain way. And you don't find that out without asking it, without doing the work.
Something that I've found, I mean, not to shine him up too much, but something that, I mean, it's funny that you should say unique, because that is one word that I would always use to describe anything that Hamish touches. Because, I mean, I met Hamish, John, and Dwayne years ago when they still are Big Tall Garden, but when they were Big Tall Garden. Now,
the kicking asses bands also to come out.
Like I would honestly say man, of all the indie bands that I've known and that are friends of mine, I would probably say that. I mean, first of all, talent, sound, and longevity. The Big Tall Garden are just the best. But when I went to go see The Hermit for the first time last year, you know, I was talking to Hamish about going down, and I go there, and then John walks in, and Dwayne walks in, and then Rob, who's the keyboard player from Gauche Messiah, who are also getting back together, or are back together, which is another band going way back from when I met. And then Allison and you, and then they still play as Big Tall Garden, but it just, well, actually, let's just play Big Tall Garden. This is a song.
Let's do that.
This is a song called Bucket O' Beer that. When I listened to it, as I said, when you sent it over and I listened to it, I was 20 again, and it is that song.
Yep.
And we're gonna follow this up with another request of Red's, which is a song called "Bitch Lord" by Sir Hedgehog. Now, we
gotta set that up.
So we have Big Tall Garden, you know, becomes the Hermit. Well, is part of the Hermit, not becomes the Hermit. Is part of the Hermit.
It's the same community as
it
the
is
Hermit.
It is a component, you know. So Big Tall Garden plus Gauche Messiah plus Red equals the Hermit. Now, Sir Hedgehog is Paul Slater, the guitar player from the band that I was in, Drag the River. Jonas Fairley, who was the drummer for Upper Levels, actually sings for them. And he now is Black Betty on the Seeds. Vote Black Betty.
And I have an interesting teeny tidbit about Jonas Fairley that we'll get back to. But.
And then Stephen Simon Oliver from The Binge, and then Brendy Marklinger, who was Upper Levels with Jonas. I mean, this is sort of a Sandy Cove reunion, and for people who know the Sandy Cove, they'll know exactly what I mean by that. So, I mean, this song is the Sandy Cove. It would be either this one or this song and a song by Mushroom Trail for me would be the Sandy Cove, and that is just that. So this is Bucket O' Beer by Big Tall Garden. Welcome back. Well, I guess you didn't actually go anywhere. We did. Yeah, my brain fart. That was Sir Hedgehog with Bitch Lord. And Big Tall Garden with Bucket of Beer. So, yeah, that song kind of hurts to listen to. I mean,
it's really good, though. Hey?
It is. And, you know, the thing is, when I first heard Sir Hedgehog, I was so happy for Paul. Because I'm not saying that Drag ever held him back. It's just that I don't think we were ever quite as hard as he wanted to be. And you can't get much harder than Sir Hedgehog.
No way. I was saying to Baron, the greatest line from that song, in my opinion, is, "I am the royal necromite, the bounty hunter of the undead." I mean, you can't go harder core than that.
It's a great line, but I still don't get it. That's why I also, you know, was always sort of dismayed when I found out that Terry Reid could have been the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, because we would have had great vocals and would have to do with all that Hobbit shit.
Oh my goodness.
That's I think that the lyrics for Led Zeppelin is directly responsible for Stonehenge.
Exactly. Totally, like by proxy.
Stonehenge.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
So tell me about festival films.
Festival films. Do you mean the films that Darren and I have been making? We actually have a film production company called Big Bang Creative. And it's basically a group that does sort of web-ready video for people. But mostly what we've been working on is his film company, which is called borrowtime.ca. Plug borrowtimes.ca. And basically what it is it's a full-fledged production house. He does all kinds of shorts and dramatic pieces, little comedy shorts. Right now he's working on a film called Chopsticks, which is a Chaplin-esque silent film. And I'm actually about a day and a half late for delivering the music for that. But it's a silent film in which some folks go out to dinner, and there's a comedy of errors when they order le poulet, and they're given chopsticks to eat it with. So doing all kinds of very silly, like piano stuff and that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a really interesting creative outlet, because when you're looking at film, when you work from a musician's perspective, it's not normal that you would be constrained by timelines. Not in terms of when you deliver, but just saying, here's your movie, it's 10 minutes long, and at 2 minutes and 31 seconds something needs to happen, then this needs to happen at this point. The way that you write a song is directly tempered by dramatic action. It's very interesting. Thank you, Logic Audio, because I'd be effed.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine that you find it. I mean, I wouldn't say difficult, because I think that sort of creative people just can't help it. Like, for instance, my older sister, she has her doctorate. She's like a boxing champ. She runs a boxing gym for young girls, like sort of a women in sport. She has another one in Kenya, with which Obama's half sister is involved, or something like that.
Wow.
She doesn't work for Nike. She works with Nike sometimes. But it's the idea that my sister travels the world going to places that women don't even show their ankles, let alone go jogging.
Yeah.
And she's fighting for this, which is pretty. But the reason I bring that up, she does all that, but still she finds time to do like photography gallery shows, and do like film and stuff like that. And I think that if you sort of have that creative edge and you're sort of driven to do something, you just can't stop doing it.
You can't. It's this compulsion, and you wonder why you're up at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning doing stuff, and you have to be up at 6:45 the next morning, and you just tearing yourself away is just not possible.
Well, I mean, just right now I'm pointing over my shoulder at my typewriter, just sitting behind. I know exactly what you mean. There's nights where I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and I cannot get back to sleep until I start pounding on that thing for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And there's also days I've sat down and just start writing, and next thing you know, it's the next goddamn day.
Yeah. There's the other side of that. I mean, there's some artists that believe that you can create some kind of formula or optimal situation for yourself, and you can, if I just light some incense and put 3 candles to my right and have a cup of Earl Grey tea, and I had sex within the last 48 hours, I can write a hit song. Bang, go. And I have ultimate respect for people who can just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to crank it out. If I have something to write for, great, but it doesn't always work like that. There's some of us that are really, can write in other styles, but when you sit down and try to write something original for yourself and you don't have, a framework that you're working in, sometimes the well just runs dry. Sometimes what you really need to do is just go out for a walk, or
just clean your brain out, yeah. Because I know that, for instance, writing lyrics and poetry and stuff like that is probably a little bit different, but with prose, I'll just start typing. I'm one of these firm believers that it is far better to edit crap than it is to sit there staring at a blank page for 7 weeks trying to figure out the best opening line. Because if you have something to edit, then you have something to fix, right? But not everyone agrees. But
no, you can view it all as placeholder text.
They're wrong.
Yeah. The other thing that's cool is that, the more stuff you do within a parameter, it gives you more fodder and more sort of subsidiary ideas that you can lean toward doing something on your own. For example, I had never really done a whole lot with reggae or dub. And there's, as you'll know, there's a strong dub influence in The Hermit. And for us, I actually am vocally opposed to doing cover songs, because I think that, unless you're going to absolutely revolutionize it, there's no sense in doing it. Now, we do a couple of cover songs in The Hermit that I really, really, really enjoy, but it's through that exercise, it's through that being a part of a creative group of people within a genre that I'm not necessarily familiar with, that all of a sudden what I'm writing is showing that. And I have more ideas to work with. I have a bigger toolbox.
Well, I think that, I mean, even though I sort of religiously opposed to something like American Idol, like how well can you sing somebody else's songs? Like, okay, cool.
Sweet.
But I think the thing with covers, though, I mean, unless because Paul used to come up with some strange ones, you know, but he was also like, you know, songs by like Budgie, just really weird, really weird metal bands that only Paul would know.
Yeah.
But I think if you were going to do a cover, it was always a good idea to do sort of a strange, whacked out B-side from somewhere, which was actually a good song that got buried, rather than go for the big hits. And I think, like for instance, Tori Amos doing her version of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" was heartbreaking. It was just her and her piano. And if you're going to go after a song that big, you can't just redo it. You have to, like this idiot that remade Psycho. I mean, who remakes Psycho? You know, and okay, yeah, we get it, right? But the thing is, so unless you're going to completely reinterpret what has been put down before with something that big and that iconic, just leave it alone.
Leave it alone, because all you're going to manage to do is get some attention to yourself acting like a penis. Look, everybody, I'm a phallus.
There you go. Did you ever heard the line that if people wanted to know if women ran the world, would missiles be shaped different?
No, probably not. They're aerodynamic.
Yeah, that's basically the Russians and the Americans pointing their penises at each other.
Gosh,
I got a 20 megaton
interesting.
penis.
Here we go. Woo! This is like the intercontinental dick slap.
Well, I mean,
history.
we are surrounded by the phallus, and that's why I think it's funny that Ring of Fire was not written by Johnny Cash but by his wife.
Know that.
It's yonic imagery.
No.
You have the phallus and yonic imagery.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, men write songs about mountains and Tower of Power and this and that.
Yeah.
Ring of Fire.
Ring of Fire. Interesting. That is a great tidbit to know. Either that, or it was during the period of time when Johnny had been messing around. And I gotta say, gonorrhea, as I'm told, no personal experience, but apparently that shit burns, dude.
Yes, well.
And
Jane is going to punch me in the face when she finds out that we're going to segue from phallic and yonic imagery into sexually transmitted diseases into her tune. But no, we had to cut one song, and because I love her and it's sort of local music, we're gonna finish up here with Jane Sawyer, a song called "The Man," and the last of your requests, Tom Waits, Tom Waits. Oh,
the original storyteller. I think that there are very few careers more interesting than Tom Waits. Somebody who found himself enough success to be able to completely fuck it up and be successful in his own terms.
So, as I said, once again, thank you for being on the show. I mean, it was a blast having you here.
Thanks.
It was great. And if you want to be on the show or know anyone who'd like to be on the show, send me an email at baroncameron@shaw.ca. And I'll do that. And we are going to leave you here with the Arcade Fire back on the list. As I said, if you're skating on thin ice, might as well. Because I just dawned on me, I'm on the internet. This could be like 5 hours long if I wanted to be.
Do it.
There you go. Followed up by Jane Sawyer, a local talent and a dear friend. A song called "The Man" that she recorded with her boys on Bowen Island recently. And then we're going to finish it up with Mr. Tom Waits, rather appropriately titled "How's It Going to End?" So, once again, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's play some tunage.
Let's do it.